So let me tell you a little bit about arthritis. Arthritis per se is a degradation of the cartilage. The cartilage becomes thin and therefore doesn't really protect the bone ends, and it becomes painful. But along with a thinning and degradation of the cartilage, you also get scarring or fibrosis of the joint capsule around the joint. And by virtue of the fact that the pet's not using the limb as much, you lose muscle mass, and that's a very integral part of supporting the joint. So once you get into that spin of osteoarthritis where you use the leg less and therefore you lose muscle mass, you get into this perpetual cycle of degradation. It is self-perpetuating and it becomes a problem. Do you have anything to add to that, Krista?
Yeah, that is a downward spiral once arthritis starts. So let's look at the actual causes that start that inflammatory cascade and that sort of spiral that can happen to dogs. So arthritis is often thought of as something that develops over time and that old dogs develop it. We'll look at that myth in a minute, but what actually causes arthritis? It's actually an issue with the blueprint of the joint. So the joint being where two or more bones come together to make an articulation, to make an area that moves, and it has to be lined by cartilage, as Anne was saying, a nice healthy cartilage. The problem that starts osteoarthritis is generally two factors. One would be if the fit of the bones is not perfect. So if they do not fit together like a piece of the puzzle, that will start arthritis. Or if there is some instability in the joint, if there is movement where there shouldn't be. So perfectly healthy, happy joint is one that when it was developed early in life was formed with the bones fitting perfectly together and moving in the way they should move, but not moving in a way that they shouldn't move. So if a ligament tears, that's going to create some instability. But generally speaking, if you've got a joint that is healthy to begin with, then it can go through life nice and healthy. So when arthritis develops, we look back at what that cause was, and usually it's an issue with the blueprint of how the joint was formed, how the bones were developed. So we will see the underlying issue either being a poor fit or some instability that has created it. Some less common causes of arthritis would be if an infection gets into the joint, called septic arthritis, or if there's a break right through the bone and the cartilage in the joint itself. But those are less common.
Yep.
The more common issues are that when the dog
was
born, when it developed, the fit was not proper or it was not a stable joint to begin with.
You got to be thinking of something like hip dysplasia or elbow dysplasia as an ill-fitting joint. It's probably the most common reasons